So I got a call from Johnny one day, and he said, Wendy, they're calling me again. The shul's calling me again for help. And I don't want to give the help the same way I've given the help. And I really think that you and I need to get involved in a very big way. And my first reaction was, Johnny, I've actually left the shul, which I had at that point, and I don't really care about the shul anymore. I think that if it's meant to die, it'll be reborn maybe one day down the road. But at that point, I had washed my hands. And you insisted. You said to me, no, Wendy, we can't. We have too much history in the shul. The shul is too important to let it die. And I feel it's really important, and I want you to help me. I want you to work with me. And so I paused, and I thought about it. And I guess my feeling was that when John Levy asks me to help in a project of this enormity, you don't say no. So I remember I said to you, okay, I'm in. And you said, okay, let's have lunch. And I think I said to you, I want my husband, Laurie, to come too, because I knew this was enormous, and I was really nervous about it. I knew that I was taking on something huge, and I really valued Laurie's opinion. So I remember the three of us had lunch, maybe that day or maybe the next day. And by the time lunch was over, I was totally in and ready. And I also knew it was going to be a huge thing, but I was ready.
So, one of the reasons I think it was necessary for me to call you, because this never would have happened if we hadn't got together, was because of the history and of both our families, who were instrumental in starting this synagogue. For me, that was really there, but really, I didn't know. It may have been a part of it, but I wasn't sure. For you, I think it was always a stronger, more prevalent rationale as to what's happening. So how do you relate that to you and me getting involved, grandchildren of founders of the synagogue, pictures on the wall, our pictures are on the wall? What did that all mean to you?
After we got involved, I started looking at the president's wall and noticing things I'd never noticed before. And actually, John and I, we're not only the grandchildren, we're the great-grandchildren of the people who founded or were very close to founding the shul. So you and I share my maternal great-grandfather is your paternal great-grandfather, Morris Levy. He's on the wall. Jacob Goldblatt, my great-grandfather, is on the wall. Your grandfather, Rube Levy, is on the wall. And my grandmother, Dolly Levy, is on the wall, sisterhood president. My uncles, my great-uncles, my Uncle Obby, my Uncle Phil. And what's really become clear to me is that now it seems obvious why we should have wanted to get involved. I mean, really, we are the fourth generation. But it wasn't clear at the beginning because the connection had been lost. But in stepping up, in taking responsibility, and the moment what I've noticed, what I learned was the moment you say, yes, I'm here, yes, I'm willing to take responsibility, then suddenly the connections start to grow. And now, of course, I feel the same bond to this place that my grandparents, my great-grandparents felt, and it feels fantastic. But it wasn't clear from the beginning.
Do you think any of our kids are going to follow in our footsteps?
It's funny, I was talking to my daughter, Tanya, last night about our family page in the Beth Jacob family album and the word I want to use and the pictures I want to use going back to the great-grandparents. And she's been the project manager for the Beth Jacob family album, so she's been working a little bit on this project, and she said, she gave me a sheepish look and she said, too bad it's going to end in your generation. And I looked at her, she's in her 20s now, I said, you know, don't be so sure. In my 20s, I could never have predicted that I would have ended up here, and you never know. You never know.
I'm sure my father said the same thing. So you're right. But
So you and I went down to New York, and the way it works is you only get to interview the people who are interested in your shul. So we had filled out a questionnaire, and only 3 people were interested in being interviewed. And I am not a person that's very transparent. So in a couple of the interviews, like pretty much after 1 minute in, I knew that this person wasn't for us. And me being me, I said, I kind of checked out. I kind of checked out early on in the process, and John had to carry it, which we laughed about later. We did find one candidate that we were really interested in, and he came up to do an audition, and we thought he was terrific. We loved him, and we really wanted him, and we felt it was a good match. He really liked us too, and I had my heart set on it. The only problem was he had another audition to go to in Asheville, North Carolina, which happens to be a fabulous town in the States. He was American. To make a long story short, he called us after his Asheville interview, or after actually a few weeks later, Asheville offered him the position. And the phone call took place in your office, you, me, and Mark Scholes. And I'll never forget, we were sitting around the table expecting the worst, and then the worst came. He said, and he was tearful. And I remember I was crying because he said, I thought you guys are fabulous. I think you're wonderful, and I would have come, but I got this wonderful job offer in Asheville, and we're American, it's better for our family. And he was really broken up about it, but he did say in that phone call, but I have a friend who I went to school with in the University of Judaism in LA, because the Jewish Theological Seminary has 2 branches, or I should say the Conservative Rabbinate Movement has 2 branches. And he said, I think I have someone for you who's a perfect match, and I'm going to tell him all about you guys. So the next thing we knew, it was probably the very next day, we got an email from Rabbi Dan, who said, my friend, and his name was Robert Cabelli, my friend told me about you, and so I'd like to apply for the position. And we interviewed him on the phone, and probably within 2 weeks, he was up here with Karen for an audition. He spent the weekend with us. And what I noticed right off the bat with Rabbi Dan was, and what I valued greatly, was his authenticity. He was fresh out of rabbinical school. He was young. He hadn't had rabbinical pulpit experience, but there was something about him that impressed me, and that was his integrity, but more than anything else, his authenticity, and just down home, real people. Karen was delightful. They were from small town United States. We were small town Canada, and intuitively, by the end of the weekend, I felt this could work. And within a few weeks, he had said yes, and we were all very excited at that point. It was a 5-year term, and it was a lot of work, but I found it very rewarding, because what I found was that we put a good team together of people, and then people started coming forward to help. And what was most rewarding for me was to see all the people step up and help us, and I never felt for 1 minute that we were on our own. It meant the world to me that I had a co-president like you. It helped. I don't know how anybody runs a shul in a single presidency. It really mattered that there were 2 of us, and then that we had Mark Scholes, that we had a strong board, and everybody pulling their weight. And of course, Rabbi Dan was wonderful. And then, as you said, the next step was to renovate the building, and that was a big thing.
Right. And I know every time I walk into the chapel, it just keeps feeling better and better. It's whether we got lucky or it's hard to describe. Every time with the Jerusalem stone, what's your feeling about the chapel? I mean, how do you,
When
what's it say to you?
when the architect first mentioned using Jerusalem stone in the new chapel, I couldn't believe my ears. That we were going to actually bring Jerusalem stone to Hamilton. I don't think I could even have envisioned it. But as it started to go up, the outside Jerusalem stone on the outside of the building and the inside Jerusalem stone on the inside of the chapel, it just transformed this place. And to think that we have a piece of Jerusalem in Hamilton, Ontario is incredible. It's so special. And I think that the warmth that it created in this building could not have been foreseen. The other day we had the Israeli Film Festival in that room, and a community member from another shul came up to me, and he said, "I just want you to know that this room is the most beautiful room in a synagogue that I have ever seen." And it really meant a great deal to me. And I think that the beautiful light-filled foyer that we're sitting in right now, the design elements of the stairwell, the chapel itself, everything just came together just so beautifully, and the Jerusalem stone was just the icing on the cake. So among the people that stepped up when we developed these plans to transform the building was Lauren Richter. And Lauren being Lauren and having all this wealth of business experience, plus being a real contractor at heart, took over overseeing the whole renovation project. And I know that we wouldn't be where we are today without Lauren's involvement. And he became the man behind the scenes that really poured his heart and soul into this project and brought us where we are today. I remember Lauren out there in the parking lot. The parking lot pretty much was wrecked during construction, and Lauren oversaw the repavement of the parking lot and also the drawing of the lines to make sure that everyone had their parking space. Little details like that we probably never would have thought of. And so Lauren was one of the key people that stepped up and brought us to where we are today. And of course, the Richter Chapel is named for the Richter family, and we are so indebted to them.
Okay, so that's where we are today. Tell me a little bit about how you see things in the future, the near-term future, and what you see for, you've been involved and always been involved at all various levels within the Jewish community, the Federation, publishing papers. You've kept your pulse when other people have come and gone. So what do you see next? Where do you see us headed?
Okay, so I've often thought about why I'm still involved, because we did do our 5 years, and we could have checked out, but neither one of us checked out. And when I ask myself that question, the answer is I see something really important happening here for sure. But I'm also very clear in my mind that I think Rabbi Dan and Karen are perfect for us. And I really feel it's important that if we want our leadership, our rabbinical, our clergy to stay and thrive, then we have to give them the support. And for me, my continued involvement is about giving the rabbi as much support as I can so that we continue to thrive. I'm very proud of where we are today. So here's what I found. When you pour your heart and soul into something the way we did, you can't just walk away from it. So I know now why I was very nervous that day you called me. Because this has been like the last 7 years of my life. And I don't see that going away anytime soon. I'm in this for the long term. It feels right. Without our current rabbinical leadership, I'm not sure I would be here or be as involved as I am now. I'm here because I just love I love what's going on here. It matters to me. I care. I want to be here for the current leadership. I want to be here for the rabbi. I want to do whatever I can. And I guess what I'm hoping to model for other people is that they too will step up. Because what I've learned from this whole project is that if you care about something, if you really deeply care about something, and if you value something, then you have to get involved and you have to give of yourself. We all have different gifts. We all have different skills. And I think that the ideal equation, the ideal formula for an enriched community life is when people are doing what they love to do, what they're good at doing, for the benefit of the greater thing, of the greater project. And for me, I've been very fortunate that the things that I'm doing for the shul are things I actually enjoy doing. Where do I see us going from here? I guess along the same lines. I think I would like to see the shul become a center for all kinds of activity, to be able to reach the unaffiliated, to be able to speak to the people who may not be that interested in synagogue worship per se, but that this building nevertheless becomes a center of Jewish life for them in terms of cultural activities. Israeli Film Festival, for instance, speaker series. It's a beautiful space, and it's a welcoming space, and it's a warm space. And I think that the potential here is enormous, but to tap into that potential means everybody stepping up and offering their gifts, offering their special skill to make this place what it can be. And I think that the possibilities are limitless.
So 75 years from now, the next Wendy will be doing a tape on the 200th anniversary of the synagogue. Have you ever thought about that?
You just said that 75 years from now, the next Wendy will be doing a project on our 200th anniversary. And do I ever think about that? Where will be
that far?
Where will we be? Where will Beth Jacob be on our 200th anniversary? How can I see that far ahead? I can't see that far ahead, but what I do know is that you cannot predict anything. I could not have predicted that my face and your face would be on that president's wall downstairs. And what I've also, here's what I know. There's going to continue to be ups and downs, because that's life. In the life of an institution, what I've discovered by working on this project, our 125th anniversary, is that there were very clear peak moments in our shul's 125-year history. There were also some downtimes, and that's just life. But that there's something that's meant to survive here. You showed me that. We rose from a very dark period in our shul's history to be where we are today at a peak moment. And probably we'll go through some more ups and downs, but what I've learned is never to give up on a place that has such a pure beginning as Beth Jacob did. It was founded by a very dedicated group of people who really believed in the importance of providing a shul for an immigrant community. And then it became a very important place to offer Jews who were affiliated with the conservative movement to come together. And then it became a place where men and women who were interested in a traditional egalitarian service could come and find a place. And, maybe 50 years from now, it'll be a different kind of place, answering different kinds of needs. But what's being renewed in me is a sense of faith that this place, that Beth Jacob is here for the long term, and we will survive and we will thrive.
Well, I never thought I'd say it, but I'm glad we're on the wall together. And, historically, I never would have believed I would have said that. And I just want to say thank you for saying yes when I called you.
And thank you for calling me, Johnny. You called me forth, and although it was like I said, a huge undertaking, nothing. The most rewarding things in life are the things you have to put your heart and soul into. The things that are most meaningful are the things you put effort into. So I'm grateful to have had that opportunity.